for another assault on your ears from Lower Dorks, a Star Trek Lower Decks podcast. As one season fades into the past and another lies somewhere in the murky future, we take a moment to wax nostalgic about Season 3. But before we lose ourselves in sweet memories, let's lose ourselves in our cups. And tell me, Stavros, what are we swimming in tonight?
Are you literally swimming in yours? That's you probably smell pretty good, actually, because you're drinking root beer whiskey.
Figuratively. I don't know, I think it get a little sticky.
Oh, yeah. But no, root beer whiskey is what we're drinking. It was very hard to find, actually. When you suggested this, I had a hard time finding root beer whiskey, but I did. I'm drinking Ellington Reserve brand. It has a maple leaf on it and everything. It's very Canadian, I guess. I don't know why, but I guess it is. What brand are you drinking there?
So I've got my old go-to of Root Out, and you are correct. It is very hard to find. Frequently, it's not in stock, which is why, I don't talk about it often. But since I was able to find it, I forced you to do the gumshoe work so we could enjoy a glass together.
Yes. I'm actually enjoying it. It smells much of root beer, which I'm enjoying. Tasting it doesn't taste bad. Mine is very licoricey, even.
Yeah.
Which you mentioned is kind of a component of some root beers.
Yeah, modern root beers tend to use licorice. The big problem I have with Root Out, which, as I mentioned, I've really liked, is the vanilla flavor isn't quite strong enough. And for me, the best root beers have the strong vanilla flavor.
Yeah. But yeah, no, root beer whiskey. We're getting we're really going down the flavored whiskey road again, apparently.
Hey, you know what? When it's good, it's good. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, you know what? We need to talk about Season 3. It's been a while since Season 3 aired, so we've had some time to do some retrospection, and there's a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Season 3. So let's pop right in.
Yeah, what are we starting with here, Stavs? What do we got?
I want to talk about the main cast, the Warp Core 4.
Warp Core 4. Soon to be the Warp Core 5, apparently.
Apparently, yeah, we'll get to that, I'm sure. But yeah, let's talk about how much each of the main cast gets in terms of character development or lack thereof.
Yeah, I think we're going to have strong disagreements on this topic.
Yeah, I think so. It'll be interesting to talk about. But let's start with the Mariner, with the lead woman there. She's, in this season, it starts off as she's kind of gotten in trouble with her mom, and, she needs to get rehabilitated under your boy Ransom.
Yeah.
And you know what? For the first half or more of the season, she actually goes through this pretty nice redemptive arc. I mean, she even talks about it as, Ransom's like getting a better opinion of her and things like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think of Mariner's journey? I mean, of course, there's a whole thing at the end. That's a whole other thing we're gonna have to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I think that works for like the series as a whole. That her ending moment. But I don't know. It's good, solid character growth. I don't really need it in this series, but at least it's not like out of left field. And I always love Mariner and Ransom's dynamic. And one of the things we don't get to see for Ransom too often, or actually even in Star Trek as a whole, is the leaders being like leaders, doing leadership things, being a mentor.
Right.
Like, the only time you ever really see that is in like one-offs where that's what the episode is about. And I actually really like that in this season, is her interactions with Ransom and his trying to mold her into being something better. I thought it was a really great story arc.
Yeah, I totally enjoyed it as well. I think Mariner of the Warp Core 4 probably has the most/best character development here, where she's actually kind of getting redeemed. But then, of course, it all goes to shit as soon as her mom gets her into trouble with the reporter.
On the one hand, that whole thing is, looks bad for the crew. Like, nobody actually figures out what she did.
Right.
They just assume she did something terrible because, she's always up to something in the past. But she also did deliberately disobey her captains and her mother's orders. She kind of, betrayed the crew by, even though she stuck up for them, disregarding what she was supposed to be doing, which is very much the old Mariner rearing its ugly head, and she was on double secret probation, so it's not that far out of left field.
She's a little too chaotic good there. She's trying to do the right thing, even if it means disobeying orders. You're right. It's not I mean, old Mariner was kind of more neutral, but she's kind of getting onto the, she feels like she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And of course she is, she's the one that has the best thing to say, but she's not afraid to break rules to do it, and that gets her into trouble.
And you know what? If it had been like that happens and it's, lampshaded, never comes up again, and it's just, that's the end of the episode. Ooh, you're in trouble, Mariner. But
Right.
they actually use that moment to tell another good story of her, inability to trust people, and her,
Right.
realizing that that's what she likes about Starfleet, is being a part of something bigger than herself. That was all really good storytelling. Like, if it had been a mainline Star Trek show and not, the comedic animated series, I think it would have been a really solid arc on its own. But it's still good here.
Yeah, honestly, this is one of those ways where even though it's the animated comedy, it really, this aspect of it really shines through as being a really positive, fun aspect. And to be honest, even though she is kicked off the ship in 1.5 episodes, I mean, it, much like a lot of those kinds of plots in the show, she gets redeemed from that almost immediately. And overall, the whole arc of her, getting back into ransom and her mom's good graces, with the one minor exception of the one time getting kicked off the ship. If that's a minor exception, doesn't really tarnish that.
Yeah, that whole arc is pretty good, and they do play it for laughs with the whole, they're getting funded by Jean-Luc Picard, there's nothing shady going on here. Right. Fantastic resolution to that conflict.
But let's move on to Boimler. And you know what?
We're going to have a strong disagreement here.
Oh, interesting. I'm curious to see what you have to say. So I'm a little bit upset about Boimler's progression or lack thereof in this season.
I believe you used the word regression previously.
Yes. Yeah, it's a regression. Yeah, I think so. Because in season 2, he's fresh from coming back from the Titan, and he's kind of a badass.
He was never a badass. What are you talking about?
Slow down there. I don't know. He kicks the Borg's ass. He's in that survival episode where he knows exactly what he's doing, even though he's
he doesn't kick the Borg's ass. He plays a game over and over and over again till he can speed run it. That is not kicking the Borg's ass.
He kicks ass.
That is something a 12-year-old does. That is not good character progression.
Look, regardless, he's not incompetent at everything, all right?
But he's not incompetent at everything in this season.
But still, like, he goes from that, I just came from the Titan, I know how to handle the Borg, okay, it's in a simulation, but he still does a good job. A lot of other areas where he's kind of kicking butt, and now he's gotten to this bold Boimler trope.
The thing is, though, that bold Boimler trope, it's great, because it is Boimler being Boimler, right?
Yeah.
The approach of this story is that Boimler doesn't go out of his way to take chances. He doesn't do anything outside of his comfort zone. He is just, I'm going to do the Starfleet thing the Starfleet way, right? And everyone's pointing out to him, no, maybe do things that you're not used to,
Right.
Go play spring ball and join a choir and, do things that... And Boimler, in his mind, responds to Tendy's advice with, you're right, I'm going to say yes to everything from now on. And Tendy's response is no, you're still being Boimler. This is a plan for you. You're still, too much in your head, right?
Yeah.
No plans, just look at everything that's presented to you and make decisions based on the moment. Don't have some overriding book that you go by. And I think that's the big story arc for Boimler in this season, is that he is learning to not always go by the book. Even when he has the say yes moment, he writes a new book that says, always say yes, which I guess he doesn't have to write. That book exists. But by the end... Shax's big moment, where Boimler has, he's been, ridiculous, kooky, and he's upset Shax, and then later he's, listening to the bridge crew, and based on what they're saying, he doesn't make a decision based on the book. He makes a decision based on what's right in the moment, which in that moment, A, Shax needs support, B, Boimler is hurt Shax, they're in an unusual circumstance, fighting against Starfleet and what Starfleet has decided. So he goes off script and he says, eject the warp core. It's a great character build-up moment. It's a great conclusion to his arc in the season. Even though there's not a lot of growth there, I think that it's a great character arc for the season. It's just a lot subtler than the other characters.
Yeah. Listening to you, I think I sort of agree. So maybe regression isn't the right word, but it definitely feels like some kind of course correction. Because in season 2, there's enough examples of him being kind of a badass, and now he's kind of back to being like the butt of the joke, like I don't know what you call it when they're doing the outro of the show and it's like the fade to the exterior shot and it's like Boimler, he's not a little robot or whatever he was in the
You know what? That was such a great scene, right? And there's nothing wrong with Boimler being the butt of jokes, right? I mean, and I don't think he ever stopped doing that. But you are right. He has his badass moments, like Where Pleasant Fountains Lie, the one with the evil AI. I believe that's the right episode, right?
I think so. Yeah.
He tricks Agamas into setting up the ship for them, right? And doing what they need without it taking control.
Right.
Yeah, he has those moments. And I think he has those moments this season too, right? I don't think there's really a regression.
Maybe they just brought back the goofball part a little bit more.
I don't know.
I still go with the course correction.
I would need like a statistical analysis on badass versus goofball moments. Let's hire an analyst, lock him in a room.
We'll make a whole
week,
episode about this,
and that would be a great episode. Badass versus goofball tally.
We're gonna lose all of our 6 listeners if we do.
You know what? Right? Whatever, dude. They'll love it.
Anyway, I think I mean, we're kind of. You swayed me a bit, but I do think it is a little bit more goofball Boimler in this season. So not a lot of progression there. As far as like viewing it as like changes to the character, I'm not sure he gets a lot more out of this season. There was more of a transition towards that last season, and now he's kind of back to being,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think
he's got the bold Boimler, but he doesn't really get anything out of it.
I don't think it's regression, and I think character progression is overrated. Yeah, I know. I'm gonna have a million, high school English teachers jumping down my throat. But sometimes a character...
if you had a million high school English teachers watching this show, I think we'd be all right.
I could quit my day job.
No,
I had more to say. I was saying something. Oh, right. Character progression is overrated.
Yeah.
It's okay for a character to just be that character, to be a rock, and, they exist in moments... I mean, that's how real people are for much of their lives, Yeah, sometimes we have these big life-altering events, but sometimes, I mean, for long stretches, you can just be who you are, and there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's more story-driven than character-driven.
Yeah.
But, oh man, I don't even know where I was going with this. I need to slow it down.
I think you're mesmerized. Jesus. You're mesmerized by the root beer Boimler.
No,
the bold root beer Boimler.
If season 4 is root beer Boimler, I'm on board for this.
Anyway.
Yeah, we got 2 other characters to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. What are we talking about now?
Let's talk about Rutherford.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
I think, we get the whole... reveal, the plot around Rutherford and the reveal about why he got his implants. I love those episodes. I thought they were great. Rutherford's still my boy. I still love him the most. And I love those episodes, but we don't get, as far as character progression goes, there's not a lot of change there. I think they literally, remember that episode where they're like, oh man, what do I do? I integrate my personality to yours. And he's like, no. I'm like, okay, well, nothing has changed in that case.
You know what, though? And that's okay. Of the Warp Core 4, Rutherford is always the most, knows who he is and knows what he wants to be.
Yeah, you're right.
He's not climbing a ladder. He's not, struggling with, I want to be in Starfleet, but I want to do things my own way. And he's not, desperately trying to achieve. He just wants to be in the tubes, man.
Yeah, that's right.
And you know what? I think that... his arc, he doesn't really have an arc in this season, right?
No.
He's Rutherford. But his big character moment, oh man, this is going to tie into what I was trying to say earlier before I forgot what I was trying to say.
Oh, good.
Star Trek has a bad habit of having major life-changing events happen to characters and then never get
Past
mentioned
progression.
again. It's just
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I lived an entire life in a day. I watched all my loved ones die, and I watched my world turn to dust, and now I'm going to go back to being a captain, because, none of that really happened. Like,
Not at all.
nah, man. Like, and I really like the fact that Rutherford has that moment, but in the end, he doesn't walk away with, like, trauma that he needs to deal with, right? He walks away with a stronger sense of self. This is who I am, because this is who I choose to be. Even when he learned that he used to be somebody else, even when he learned that he had lost so much of himself, his self, that other part of himself, decided he wanted to be who he was now as opposed to in the past. And that's good storytelling, man.
Well, look at you. I was being all sad because my boy didn't get any progression, but here you are, like, turning my opinion around. Wow.
I know. I should teach high school English.
I love it. It's great. You're totally right. I completely agree.
Wait,
and
I should teach high school English?
Well,
or in that Rutherford had a great story moment?
You know what? Why not both?
Why not both?
Yeah. But I agree about your point about Rutherford. He gets his personal episodes. Not a lot of other episodes that show his arc. There's no arc here, like you said. But Rutherford's consistent, and you know what? Nothing's wrong with that.
Yeah, no. He had great stories, and they didn't change him. They just reinforced who he was, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Not at all. But let's go to Tendi.
Oh, yeah.
She actually is... I think she actually gets a lot
this
more...
season. Yeah.
She's getting her senior science officer training during this season, despite the fact that our counselor is nigh ineffective.
Wiggly mode, man.
He's there are better mentors that are on the ship, Just
I love Miggly Mo. He's just so entertaining. I mean, he's terrible at everything. He's a terrible counselor. Yeah. He's a terrible character, terrible person.
He has to captain the ship.
Yeah. Oh my god! You know what? I would do the same thing if I became captain.
Call your mom.
I'm calling my mom. Mom, I'm in the captain's chair. It's finally happening. Look at me.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's not true. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. No. But I think between Tendi and Mariner, they have the most obvious arcs and character development there. So
yeah, definitely.
I loved seeing it.
And you know what? And Tendi's wasn't even really an arc, right? Actually, it's interesting, though. I just realized Tendi and Rutherford, their character moments are very, very, very similar, right? And you know what? So is Mariner's. Like, there's like a theme to these people's season, in that Tendi comes to embrace her Orion heritage when she meets an Orion poser.
Right.
Mariner, embraces her love for Starfleet because of what Starfleet is, which she's never really addressed in the past on why she likes Starfleet. Rutherford, embraces who he is because he is who he wants to be. And I think, wow, there was an overarching theme to this season. I didn't even realize it until just now.
I think we've seen that previously in the show, too. There's a lot of, be who you are, right? Don't try and be something else.
Yeah.
And I love that about this show, to be honest. It's good. It's a good theme. As far as themes go, it's a good one.
Yep. Do you want to say anything about Tendi's arc? I feel like you had something more here.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just want to say, she's getting the training. So I don't know if there's a lot of, she doesn't get there, but she's in.
Well, a big element is she admits she wants to be captain one day.
Oh, yes.
And you know what? I think the internet's going to love that, because there's a real hard-on for Captain Tendi out there for some reason.
I thought there were hard-ons for other reasons. For the
tunnels, the internet gets a little creepy sometimes. Little creepy guys.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I forgot about that. She straight up says she wants to be captain. Big character moment for her. It's showing where she wants to go. And while we don't see her get anywhere necessarily, she's just in training. But the fact that we see that she's going in that direction, and that's what she wants, and she admits it to herself.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the first step, is realizing what you want to be.
Yeah, that's right.
We're waxing awfully poetic here.
I
getting a
know.
little too deep
Something
for
about the
my
root beer is really
animated comedy show.
What are you talking about? This show isn't serious. Come on.
Ah, yes.
Let's switch gears though. I want to talk more about the episodes in this season and how we're getting this kind of mix of arcs.
I don't really
and
want to
one-off
talk about
episodes.
the episodes. I feel
No,
like
not
they're
at
just
all.
not important to the season as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's only
just
10 of them.
yeah.
What's the use?
I feel like the season was fine without any episodes. It just stand on its
Just
own.
has zero seasons,
Just
zero
has-
episodes.
Oh God, Jesus! What
We're
am I doing
out
here?
of control right
Yeah. All right. Yes, we're going to talk about
Completely
the
out of control.
episodes. The episodes themselves. What are we talking
Yes.
about the episodes for?
First, I want to talk about how we got one arc. The rest is complete one-offs, and it's again like we just talked in a recent episode of our show about how certain series are more arc focused and some are more one-offs. And Lower Decks season 3 is absolutely more of a one-off show, with the exception of the Texas class plot. But I think that was the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, it definitely was a lot of one-offs. Hopefully there's some that seemed like they might be setting up something in the future, and hopefully that happens. But you know what, there's also two types of arcs, There's the character arcs and then the actual story arcs. And
Right.
the story arc, obviously, for this season is the Texas class reveal.
Your good friend, Admiral Goodfriend.
Admiral Goodfriend. Oh. But you know what? All of the episodes, like, I really do want to know though, because you had like the post or the final scene of Mathematically Perfect Redemption, where they continue to build on the evil AI front. You had the final season of Crisis Point 2, where they continued Dupla Boimler's story arc.
Right.
Were there any other like long con stories where we're not sure if it's going to be built upon again, or whether they're going to just forget about it?
I don't think so, other than the character stuff we've already covered.
Yeah. But like, all of the episodes, like Least Dangerous Game, was all about, Mariner and learning to trust her superiors and being more by the book. You had Minding the Mind's Minds, which was all about Tendi and her, learning to be a science officer.
Right.
Room for growth. Man, that may be just like the most one-off, because that is like a arc moment for Captain Freeman. Like, I don't think it really... Are there any big moments for any of the other characters in that episode?
I don't think so. Not really.
Man, now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Rewatch this series again?
Yeah.
That's madness.
I mean, it's not like I wasn't going to do that anyways. But yeah, like all of the episodes have some sort of tie-in to something bigger. Except, I think that one episode.
Regardless, anything in there is subtle. I mean, there's a lot of subtle setup for the Texas class last couple episodes throughout the show.
Yes.
But, by and large, they still just kind of get away with being one-off episodes instead of, obvious arcs.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm stuck on this episode now.
You know what? We're just going to have to rewatch it right now.
Yeah.
I think there's just no way around it.
Okay, moving on to the next thing.
There are a shit tons of ships in this season, and I think we're going to have to bring back our ship episode to really talk about all the details there.
Hell
But
yes.
dear God, there are so many. Do you have an obvious favorite ship that jumps out at you that was introduced in this?
I know it's going to
season?
sound funny, but my favorite ship is from Crisis Point. The freighter that they use to go find Kitty.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know why
that's
I
a good one.
really like that. I really wish it had more, like, clearly, these are nacelles on it. But other than that, overall, I like it. But, God, all of the ships this season were good. We see some returns of, like, old background ships, like the Andorian vessel. You see, of course, obviously, the Texas class is the new hotness.
Yeah.
But I don't even know where to begin. There were so many.
There's so much, yeah. We've got the shuttle pod from early Next Gen.
Yeah.
We've got all the California classes.
Yeah, I can't remember what scene it is, but it's in the first episode where they have all the different shuttles. God, where were they when they went through the shuttles? It has one of my favorite ships from the series. Well, not the series; it's from the movies. The Phoenix.
Oh yeah, of
I just
course.
I love the design on that.
Yeah, they got the little nacelles that pop out of there.
Yeah, which is very cool, and it's one of those where it's like designed with purpose, right? It's supposed to be a
Yeah,
missile that they launch into space.
yeah.
The only thing I don't like about it is that like I feel like it should have been like a two-stage booster because like
Oh,
just the sheer volume of weight it had to be carrying.
yeah.
But then like the capsule, I really like the design of the capsule, and it's very clearly something that was added on, and I don't know, just overall the design of it felt very like purpose driven, which I
Right.
thought was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Oh man, sorry, I'm getting off topic here.
No, you know what? We're talking about ships, and that's you know what ship surprised me the most, and I'm gonna have to save the rest for our ships episode. But the therapy ship from Room for Growth, that, like very intricate ship design, and it's just used as a location for all the therapy to happen. Could have easily been a planet-based location.
Yeah.
The very intricately designed ship.
You know, I
Lots of
think
detail
though that
on
was
it.
supposed to be a callback to the ship that took them to the medical planet when Boimler was out of phase with
Uh-huh.
reality.
Yeah, another ship
Because
captained by whatever
Captain,
that race is called.
yeah, whatever the race is called that doesn't
Yeah.
speak properly. They're supposed to
Right.
speak like this, Captain. Yes,
Yes. My
yes.
name is Eric. This
My
is
name is
how I
Eric.
talk.
Yes,
Anyway, save the rest for. But there just
yes,
suffice to say that
yeah.
there are
We got
tons of ships in this episode.
come back and listen to our ships episode, people. You'll
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Not as much as I, but you'll love it.
Yeah. I think so.
Wait, not as much as I, not as much as me.
One of
I
those.
love that. I love our
Forever.
ship episodes. You will not love them as much as I love them.
There you go.
Yeah,
See,
I probably
knew
shouldn't
you
be
were,
a high
an
school English
professor.
teacher.
Yeah. I feel like
Ooh,
you're
I'm getting
putting yourself into,
upgraded.
like,
Now I'm a professor.
You're one of those teachers that calls themselves a professor in high school, and it's just
Yeah.
a little awkward.
Oh, those
Doesn't
weirdos.
really
Yeah.
fit. Yeah.
Oh boy. So what's next on the agenda?
I want to talk about Mathematically Perfect Redemption and the
Do
qualities
we?
therein.
Do we have to?
I think we do, because this is an episode that is clearly different from everything else in the season. Was it good? Did you like it?
You know what? I'm gonna throw it. It's somewhere in the middle. You know, it's not great, but it's not
Okay.
terrible.
Right.
The basic story arc of, you know, hey, here's some bird people who used to be space travelers but chose a more primitive way of life. The
Right.
fact that Peanut Hamper is not redeemed and actually betrays everyone is hilarious. How the whole story flow goes is good. The subversion of Peanut Hamper falling in love with a bird person, but in reality she's just scamming them. It's well put together, and there's no
Yeah.
like it's a mathematically perfect redemption, but there's no redemption ever, right? Like in a
Right.
mainline episode,
That's
like
the
the
joke.
final scene would have been like
Right.
Peanut Hamper lamenting the loss of her loved alien or her much loved alien guy. But nope,
Yeah.
here it's straight up Peanut Hamper is just a selfish a-hole through and through. And it's hard not to love that.
Yeah. I agree. It's tough to have an episode that it takes a chance, right? It's doing something new and interesting in a show that only has 10 episodes a season. It's trying to see how much it can get out of the Peanut Hamper experience. Was it as good as a standard episode? I personally don't think so. It had some good gags in it, like you said. I think the really funny part is when she actually betrays everyone in front of the Cerritos crew, like you said already. And also it functions to set up the evil AI episode.
Yes,
That's
even
definitely coming at some point.
AIs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, like I feel like if it was a mainline series episode, you know, live action, it's taken seriously. So, you know, the gags are pulled and, you know, the final reveal of, you know, and the less weird robot bird alien love thing. I feel like if all of that was toned down and made serious, it could actually be a decent episode.
Yeah.
And it does have some funny moments, but overall, as an episode, it's not one I'm going to come back to.
Yeah. I think it's set up right. And, you know, like I said, it takes a chance. Did it pay off? Sort of. But I think we'll hopefully see more of Peanut. I wouldn't say it diminishes the Peanut Hamper character. I think it's still funny, but she's gonna work better in the opposite of the Avengers come together for all the villains.
Yes.
What's it called when all the bad guys come together?
I have no
It's like
idea.
the anti-Avengers, something like that. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Who does really? Let's pop over to cameos this season.
Oh boy,
of which there are many.
Apparently,
there are
I
a
didn't
ton of
notice
this in
any
here.
of these. I had no idea.
This show has broken my brain because now I'm focused on inane details. And I'm going to list off some cameos here. We get James Cromwell doing the Zephram Cochrane in
So,
Grounded.
was that actually James Cromwell?
It was indeed. Yeah,
Wow.
it was. Doing a little voiceover. Yeah.
They didn't need to do that, but they did. It was fantastic. Yeah.
He gets to be on the PA system, I think.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, an undiscovered, or whatever he says there.
Yeah, and then the hologram that's piloting the Phoenix.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
That they
you're
suborn
right.
to take control of the Phoenix. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, if the guy that they leave the Phoenix to and decides he's going to go off into space on his own, if he doesn't come back, I'm going to be very sad.
He gets arrested. You know what? Maybe he's like the Nick Fury that brings together all the evil AIs. He's the one that breaks into the Daystrom and
But that
steals
doesn't
all
make
that.
any sense.
Does this show make sense all the time? I ask you.
79.2% of the time.
Wow, there's that mathematical analysis we were talking about before.
All right,
Anyway.
moving on.
Let's move on. We're getting off track here. Okay.
Yes.
We've got J.G. Hertzler doing Computer Martok, the D&D game in Least Dangerous Game, who always overacts everything. That's great.
Fantastic. It was amazing. And I love the fact that he's the one who, convinces Boimler to, stand up for himself and become the hunter. And that immediately gets him killed.
It's classic. It's a classic.
It's great.
This is not his first cameo either. He was the one of the alien captains too. The salvager guys.
The Drukmani scavengers.
The Drukmanis, yes, exactly.
But was that this season that he played the Drukmani?
I think that was
or
last
a previous one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think last season was that.
I feel like you're correct.
He's doing a good job doing the random cameos. I like
maybe he'll come back as
overacting.
the Drukmani scavenger because it looks like they recovered Badgie at the end of one of the episodes.
Oh yeah. More interestingly, or arguably, it was hard to top J.G. Hertzler, but Susan Gibney, and if you don't know who that is, she was the actress who played Leah Brahms in Next Gen, at least. I'm not sure if she's in DS9 or not, but she actually reprises her character in Mining the Mines. Did you know that? That was the actual actress?
I did
That's
not
crazy.
know that. That she was Rutherford's fantasy. Can you blame him?
Yeah, Rutherford taking the LaForge fantasy a little bit too far.
Well, at least in his point, it wasn't like he chose to make a creepy holodeck fantasy. It was just like, he's into Leah Brahms, and
yeah, it suits Rutherford.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just try not to think about that TNG episode with her in it, and you'll be fine.
Well, I try and think about that TNG episode all the time. Makes me feel a little less awkward in my own life.
Oh, yeah. That's fair. That's good strategy. We've also got the Now Visitor and Armin Shimmerman playing Kira and Quark in Here I'll Trust Nothing.
Yeah, it was weird. I'm wondering if maybe it's just, time has passed since the end of DS9.
Yeah.
And voice acting is very different than, acting live on a stage. So, although I loved her interactions with Shax, they were fantastic.
Oh, yeah. Anytime you have the canon character that's making the reappearance, your brain's trying to consolidate the new appearance of the character with the voice that's familiar. So there's going to be some incongruity there. But anyway, they do appear in that episode. It's very much in your face. So everyone that's listening to this probably already knew that. So
yeah. Well, they're the anchors of that episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love her interactions with Shax. Just fantastic from beginning
really
to
good.
end.
We also get Jeffrey Combs reprising Agamus at the end of Mathematically Perfect Redemption.
Wonderful sign that we'll get more of Agamus and hopefully an evil AI arc.
Yeah, I think that's pretty obviously telegraphed, so that's definitely coming at some point. We also get some George Takei. He reprises Captain Sulu in Crisis Point 2.
The horsey is going to bite you now.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
No, we're in Idaho. But yeah, that was good.
his whole, like, his performance, the writing was just fantastic. Oh, man, it was so good.
Yeah.
One of the top 10 scenes. You know what, though? This is Crisis Point again. Crisis Point 2 is just so good. Like, all of my favorite moments are from Crisis Point.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk about favorite moments coming up. But let's move on. We've also got a fellow by the name of Carlos, let's see if I can pronounce his name right, Alazraki. And if you don't know who that is, he plays Admiral Bonamigo. But the interesting thing about him is that you might also know him from Deputy James Garcia on Reno 911. He's done a ton of voice acting, so that's, I'm sure, why he got this job.
I did not realize he was on Reno 911. I didn't realize he was that guy. That is amazing.
Yeah, interesting. But the real interesting part is that his daughter, Riley Alazraki, she plays Rock Talk on Prodigy. So they're kind of a family of Star Trek voice actors at this point.
Apparently.
It's kind of fun.
But I guess we won't be seeing much more of Admiral Buenamigo.
Yeah, he's kind of dead, so that'd be tough.
I mean,
maybe he shows up in Rutherford. Yeah, maybe Rutherford has some more recovering memories.
Maybe he had a backup transporter that beamed him off at the last moment.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and it's all a
it's like you've watched Star Trek before.
Yeah, well, I mean, anybody who's, like, read or watched anything realizes that these people aren't real people, so you can just do whatever you want with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming up on the comic book level.
You can torture them for an entire episode and have no long-lasting repercussions.
Wow, I watched O'Brien too.
Sometimes I wish I was a fictional character.
Oh. Sad.
Okay, who else we got?
Last but not least, we've got Gabrielle Ruiz. So she plays both Castro, the character who holds the salon, and with her friends, and Talin.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about this is because, as we all know, Talin shows up at the end of the last episode.
Worst bit of fan service ever. I'm hoping Talin leaves in the middle of the first episode, just as like a big middle finger to the fans. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, this show is about giving the middle finger to the fans.
I love the fact that I'm a fan of the show, and I'm always like, yeah, I hope they really give the fans the business.
I really hope Mike McMahon really tells me to fuck off.
Yeah, like that's.
I feel like you got some masochism issues.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I should schedule some time with the ship's counselor. Get some of them fruit metaphors.
Yeah, Meglimo is totally going to be able to help you. I'm very certain of that.
Oh my god.
But I'm wondering if we're going to get a scene of Gabrielle talking to Gabrielle, if there's a Talin and
Castro scene. Together. I hope that there is.
I always hope for those.
And I hope that they like hate each other.
Wouldn't take that much.
Yeah.
They're both out of control.
Oh man. That nonsense is amazing.
Yeah. But anyway, quite a list of cameos. It's only 10 episodes. To have that many crazy cameos going on is always fun to see. So.
Well, I mean, it was only 10 and there was 10 episodes, so,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know what? It's very congruous, I would say.
Makes sense.
Let's pull the camera back a little bit. We're talking about favorite characters in our last season recap. And I'm wondering if your opinion has changed of your favorite character since Season 2. Has Season 3 changed your opinion on anyone, or is Ransom still your go-to man?
Oh, man, Ransom, he just got better this season, When he saves Billups and Rutherford with his, impeccable lava tubes.
Yeah.
His being concerned about Boimler's well-being. He comes across really great. His, taking the time in a crisis situation to ensure that everybody is prepared for the coming struggles by teaching them how to sit in a chair properly.
Yeah. Arguably my favorite joke of the entire season.
Oh, man, it's definitely up there.
We're getting out of ourselves, but yeah. Yeah, I'd say that Ransom is less of a jokey joke. I mean, he has jokes too, but I mean, he's like the good CEO in this season too.
I know, right?
And he's Mr. Starfleet. Like that's what you liked about him.
That's what I liked about him, right? Even though he's oftentimes silly and he's working out obsessively and all that stuff.
Right.
There's nothing. I mean, like he's still the good officer, right? And they show that really well in this season.
So you're sticking with him then?
That's 100%. Like, I mean, have you abandoned Rutherford yet? Have you realized that
not
he is
at all?
the fourth wheel on the Warp Core 4?
I mean, he might be. He didn't get that much focus aside from his episode that was a lot about him, but I'm sticking to my guns. I'm glad that we're consistent.
I'm joking. I do like Rutherford. You know, one of the interesting thing about Rutherford's arc or story, because like the whole thing is like this entire season hinges on Rutherford, right? He's the important character. And I noticed something interesting on the rewatch that I never noticed before. When they're having the fantasy in his mind space race.
Yeah.
When Rude Rutherford's ship, when he gets into the cockpit, in the background you can see on one of the screens, it's the M5 screen. It's the lines. I never noticed that before. That is so cool.
They're paving the way for the AI Texas class.
Yeah, it was good. You know, it works into the arc, and then like it doubly works into the arc. And I love the idea that it's eventually revealed that the problem that went wrong for Rutherford, we always assumed it was an engineering issue, but it was actually an AI issue that went wrong. It's pretty solid.
And, you know, we touched on this already, but let's go straight to do you have any favorite gags of this season? I have a top 3. I'm wondering if you have any that jump out at you as like the best jokes of this entire season.
Let's see. You know what? Crisis Point. Okay, so going back to Rutherford for a minute. Oh man, maybe I'm becoming a Rutherford fanboy. Did you notice that like after Reflections, which is the episode, it's the job fair episode, but it's also where Rutherford encounters his past self. Right. Even though they didn't merge personalities, Rutherford is a little bit more boisterous after that. And it's like a running thing. So like in Here All Trust Nothing, he's way on board for the Orion Pirate. And it goes beyond just his normal cluelessness. He's just way like cheering on all these ridiculous things that this Orion Pirate guy is doing, right?
Right.
In Crisis Point, he's just like totally making fun of everything the whole way through, right? He does the raspberry when, you know, when the credits end.
Yeah.
He's like, whoa, these graphics are mind-blowing when they're not. The gotta have chips bit. Oh, it's just...
a lot of Crisis Point, he's all over the place, too. I think you're right. There is something new there.
And I just feel like, like, for instance, in the last 2 episodes, you know, Trusted Sources and The Stars at Night.
Yeah.
He's very obsessed with the AI and how cool it is. How cool the Texas class is. It's just, that's more traditional Rutherford, but like the way he goes about it, right, is just, I feel like he's kind of brought back some of those old Rutherford traits, possibly.
Oh, yeah. So you think that's like one of the better gags of the season is him bringing back the...
Just Rutherford being rude throughout the season is hilarious.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's tons of great gags, though. What are your favorite gags?
I've got the top 3. The first up is in Room for Growth when Phillips and the rest of his engineers are overworked, and he gets a little stressed out, and he goes right into Shax's arms, and then he gives a little spiky smack across the face. the little sad, weak smack across the face.
Yeah.
That was a good one. Another Shax involved joke: ejecting the warp core, man.
Oh my god, the whole build-up to that, as he's like running through and everybody's cheering for him. You know what the best part is? There's kind of like a lead into this, because previously in the season, Shax, they see asteroids incoming in one of the episodes. Yeah. And Shax is all like, should I shoot them with the phasers? And, and Ransom's all like, no, dude, that's why we have deflectors.
Use a deflector. Yeah.
And Shax is so disappointed.
You know, the man gets what he wants at the end of the tail end of the season. He
finally gets to eject the warp core.
Yeah. You'd think Phillips would be like a little sad about having to eject the giant warp core, but you know what? He's right there with him.
Well, and you know, they turn the key together. Starfleet officers support each other.
Yeah, that's right. So that's another option. My final option, as we talked about, Ransom giving the so they're doing the whole like build up to like, yeah, we're gonna beat the Texas class. And like every department is doing their old training thing, and Ransom he's got all the command officers in a room, and he's like, "This is how you do this."
You raise your leg over the back, and you just ram your butt right down into it. It's just, it's so good.
And this is another example, and another thing I freaking love about this show is that I've always been kind of like ever since I was a teenager, like or even before watching the show, I always loved the command division concept. And this is another example of Lower Decks showing what the command division people do. It kind of just gets forgotten by a lot of the rest of Star Trek, but Lower Decks is not afraid to show like the command officers doing their training things.
Yeah, well, I mean, except for the fact that was played for laughs in that scene.
Shut up. No, it's yeah, no, you're right, but I mean, they're still showing. What are some other examples like the command crew, the command ensigns getting together to learn how to command better, just creating that as a concept and maintaining it through this gag. Even the gag scenes, it's a joke, but they're still command officers doing command things.
Yep.
Something I really appreciated.
But I love the fact that that's their preparation for the big event.
You gotta be authoritative when you step in that chair, man.
Yes.
Those are my favorite jokes.
Yeah, there's a lot of them in this season. The worst part is when you started talking, I remember there was one in The Stars at Night that I really liked. And now I can't remember what it was. So thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate that.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Oh, man.
I'm here to help. Did you have a favorite episode this season?
You know what? Oh, man, there's so many that are good. Reflections is definitely up there. Like, I love the whole Booth arc and, Boimler's final breakdown where he goes nuts on all the other booths. It's just hilarious.
The breaking the pencil,
yeah,
it's pretty solid.
Rude Rutherford from that episode. Oh, yeah. The fact that he calls out that putting engineering all the way down between the warp nacelles is dumb. It's just
who would do that? That's stupid. Yeah,
but you know what?
That was great.
I gotta go with Crisis Point. It's so
really
good. Yeah, Crisis Point 2. There's so much I love about this, and I've talked about it like ad nauseum at this point. Knick-Knack, my favorite character from this season. I hope he comes back in Crisis Point 3.
Knick-Knack.
Yes, Knick-Knack. What did I say?
Knick-Knack.
Okay.
That's how he says
You're just, okay.
Knick-Knack.
Because that's one of the gags, is they keep mispronouncing his name and he has to correct them.
Yeah.
I love the fact, though, that it's like the Warp Core 4 are basically a terrible D&D party. Rutherford just won't take anything even remotely seriously.
No.
Boimler decides to just totally split the party because he's having a bad day. Tendi takes it way too seriously. Like Mariner is the voice of reason in this episode, which is just fantastic.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that. You're right.
All the gags, the now he's going to give a big speech and turn everybody around, and then Boimler just starts beating the cultist guy in the face. He's like, "Or are we get James T. Kirk it?" Oh man, just the episode is like, it's got the best gags, the best moments. I don't know. It's good. I've watched it like 4 or 5 times at this point.
You just put it on to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty hard not to. The big reveal at the end of what's going on with Boimler 2.
Right.
Really hope they continue that story arc. And the best part is they immediately call out how much they all hate cliffhanger endings. Like, oh yeah, at least it doesn't have a cliffhanger sing after the credits. And then, boom, they do it. It's great.
Yeah. I went with the season finale, Stars at Night. There's the certain, fun quality about seeing all of the California class ships show up at the end, even though I feel like the fact that they're all in a spot where they could respond to the crisis simultaneously, like that was a little improbable, but you know what? It was a feel-good ending, and you can't say no to the AI thing.
Yeah. I especially love his, what is it, your heart will burn in a fire. Oh my god. Such a great gag.
Your heart will burn in a fire.
I do say that episode is one missed opportunity, where like they're reading off all of the California class ships that show up.
Yeah.
It would have been great if when he stopped, somebody said, "Hey, where's the..." And then they name one of the ships. And somebody looks at him like they're an idiot, like, well, they can't all be within range, right? That would have been a great gag. But I feel like it would have, broken the momentum of that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, like we were talking about during the, when we did the recording of the episode about episode 10, there's a San Jose in there, and I can't say no to the USS San Jose. That's my hometown.
Oh, it's your hometown, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? When an El Paso, Illinois class ship shows up, then we can be happy for my hometown.
Okay.
But somehow I suspect that'll never happen because nobody knows my hometown exists.
That's a weird town. Just putting that out there.
Whatever.
It's a weird name for a town.
Don't look it up. I don't want to be judged by where I'm from.
Oh man, we've talked a lot about this season. What else is there? Is there more that you
Dude,
want
I've
to
got
talk
so
about?
much still to talk about, and we are
Yeah.
way too far in. Okay, where to begin? You know what? I feel like this season was released out of order because I think it's Room for Growth
Oh yeah, they talk about prepping for the mission,
with the
the Mighty
Carlsbad,
the
but
Mind's
that
Mime.
mission happened in episode 3.
Yeah,
Like, is
I
that
think you're right.
intentional? And like, I want to go back and rewatch the episodes to see if there's other hints that they're out of order. But like, it's weird. Like, why?
Yeah.
But you know, maybe it's a separate mission. You know, but they never
It could be.
pay off on it, and it's very sad.
Yeah.
Probably missing something. Probably in like Hear All Trust Nothing, when the Cerritos is being rerouted. Maybe they were on their way to a mission with the Carlsbad, and that's what they got rerouted from.
Right.
I don't know. Doesn't make any sense. So there's that. Mining the Mimes. No, not Mimes.
Mining some mimes.
Miming the Mins Marn. Mining the Min. I'll get it. Okay.
What?
Attempt 3.
Who thought this episode name
Minding the
was
Murnus. Mine. Okay, there we go.
Mine?
In that
Like the
episode,
seagulls?
quiet you. So, like, the opening to that is really good. It's very, like, cinematic. Did you notice that? If it wasn't animated, like, that would just be, like, a really solid opening for an actual mainline series. I mean, obviously, they wouldn't do the whole Speedy McWheels gag, and they
yeah.
probably wouldn't do, like, it's his, 7th grade teacher. It would probably be, some lost love from his past. But, like,
Sure.
man, like, just the visuals, the staging, everything was just so solid. I was, like, just blown away by the care that was put into creating that gag. Like, wow, what the hell?
Isn't that the cold open and then the premise is resolved before we get back from the opening credits?
Yes, because the whole gag is that it turns out there's no
Right.
conflict at all, and they're just
Right.
scamming Starfleet.
Right.
Also in that episode, though, did you notice that when the Admiral shows up, that is Boimler's fantasy? Like,
Yeah.
it's just some unnamed Admiral. Like, he's always
Yeah, it's just some
name-dropping famous people. Like, why? And then I thought about it, I'm like, dude, because it's all about Boimler. Boimler's fantasy is to be the important person. He doesn't want to be overshadowed by Admiral Picard or Janeway.
Yeah.
He's
You're
the
right.
big important guy.
Yeah, remember with the episode with the other command ensigns where they're all just focused on emulating people, and he's like, "You got to be your own man."
Yeah,
It's totally in line with that.
Yeah, 100%. I'm not talking out my ass right now.
Just talking out of some root beer.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's just so much in this season that I could talk about till the end of the Earth. Obviously, it wasn't perfect. As we mentioned, we weren't really big fans of Mathematically Perfect Redemption. But, I think there's one really huge flaw that I have or found in this season, and it's like right from the get-go. And you know what? It breaks the suspension of disbelief for me. In the beginning, when Mariner throws a potted plant at the screens in her father's apartment,
Right.
I refuse to accept that hundreds of years in the future, they still have TVs you can break by lobbing a Wii remote at them. Come on, man. Like, we're already getting to the point where we have that technology of, bendable screens now. Why the hell are they still shattering in the future? I call bullshit. It ruined the whole season for me. Just
The entire season was ruined. Yeah.
enjoyment went from 12 all the way down to 4.
Do you remember? Were you get really upset in that TOS episode where Spock gets upset and like punches the computer and like completely like destroys the computer by punching a hole in it?
Well, no, because they had established that Spock is super strong. If it had been like, Chekhov, then I would have been like, come on, man. That's garbage.
I see. Okay. It's okay if Spock does it.
Yeah, because he has super strength.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because, Vulcans are just a random hodgepodge of alien abilities without any thought of why they evolved that way.
Someone didn't watch Enterprise.
Wait, they couldn't have watched Enterprise before TOS because Enterprise came out after TOS.
I've had enough of your logic. Anyway, what else do you have? Anything else?
No. I like that we finally have the reveal of the secret to Boimler's hair color.
Oh yes, what a reveal!
Yeah.
Also,
and
fuck
you
that
know,
reveal.
you know what the best part of that reveal was?
What?
It proved you wrong.
It's terrible.
And that is the most important thing for me.
I've got the headcanon going on that he's part Catullin, and nothing. My command could drop by my house and tell me that I'm wrong, and I would say, "Get the fuck out of my house."
What if they did an entire episode about how he's not Catullin? What if
That's
they
very
showed
specific.
What if they showed his conception on screen? What if they did a 9-month episode, like from when it starts to when the episode ends, lasts 9 months, and it starts with his conception and ends with him being born, and we never have his mother off screen? Would you accept it then?
I mean, obviously not. It's obviously a dream episode.
Well, I suppose you just have answers for everything then.
Correct. Yeah. I'm gonna let this one go.
Okay. Oh man, I think we've gone way too far off the rails.
Do
you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think we need to. Well, actually, no. A little piece of news that happened after, just recently, as we're recording this. This show has been renewed for season 5, so we're getting at least 5 seasons of the show.
I think we're gonna get the full 7 seasons in a movie.
You think so?
Of this. Oh yeah.
Ooh, and a movie.
And a movie. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. I look forward to seeing that movie.
That movie's definitely going to happen.
7 seasons in a movie. Let's make this happen, people.
Plus, we're getting the live action crossover in
I'm actually looking forward to this. Let's hopefully it goes well. We'll have to do an episode about it. When does that come out?
So. I think we will.
Next month?
I think it's next season. Yeah, in a few months. Yeah.
I can't wait that long.
It's coming soon.
Stavros, talk to these people. Get it out sooner.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. I'll tweet whoever needs to be tweeted.
I know you've got connections. I mean, they're not to anybody that works on Star Trek, but you've got connections.
No. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'll definitely give it a shot.
Okay, then.
We need to end this episode somewhere.
Yeah,
so you know what? Here's just as good as anybody.
Yeah, because that's a bit much. But you know what? We'll do this again after season 4 is over. I mean, like specifically, we'll do a season recap after season 4. That's not going to be our next episode though, because between now and then, we're going to have a whole season of episodes that we're going to talk about. So. And we'll do shows about those. That
Probably.
Rhymes. And then we'll also have some other stuff we'll talk about. Like we got ships to talk about. We got
totally.
I can't remember what else we got on the agenda.
We got a request for cold opens.
We're gonna rate cold opens. That's a great idea. That's a terrible idea. We're gonna.
We're probably gonna try it.
Yeah, we'll have to drink something cold for that. But
I think so.
Until then, you can, as always, check us out on Twitter at Lower Dorks. Or if you're so inclined, you can cyberstalk us until we cover whatever your favorite topic might happen to be. Even if it's something terrible, like how Brad Boimler might actually be part Catullin.
I'm not letting that go, by the way.
You will, and you will like it.